But the same thing is, we're going into the draft game number 3, where we saw first pick Bruno is doing very well for GEEKGame. Are they gonna keep able to get this Bruno? We'll see.
Yeah, or is AB Bren gonna take blue side this time? No, AB Bren stays on the red side. Geek fam, I mean, that's showing that AB Bren thinks that, okay, maybe we made some mistakes here and there, but we don't exactly think it had to do with you getting first pick. And if we have to, we're still willing to give you that Bruno. Here's the big change in bans from last game to this game, though. They take out the Basha.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the Baksha, again, targeting Marky, because we saw even in the keys to victory, target Marky's here. Well, the Bruno has been picked up. The Claude, I would say wasn't bad. I would say the Claw wasn't bad. But if you want a direct matchup, maybe they can pick up something like the Ixia last pick potentially, just to make sure that if there's no dive at all, then maybe they can get that. And third Matilda in the row for Ogwen.
So they pick up the Matilda, right? And I feel like this is just their game plan so far. A lot of the times, we even talked about it the previous game, right? Working with the utility, the movement, but I loved what GeekFam had to answer that. It was just really the momentum that they started.
Paramis, we
there's
forgot.
the change.
This is interesting, right?
To live
Valentina
is to trick
or Lilia?
I think actually, that's a good question. I think I would actually go with Lilia.
I would go Lilia as well.
A boy had a great Lilia game last time.
Yeah.
And then you don't exactly, and then game 1, his Valentina was a little, you know, sus, I would say.
A little sus.
A little sus, honestly. So they do go for the Lilia. I think he felt comfortable on it. It's a great answer to the Faramis. So, I mean, you don't have to steal it with the Valentina. You just beat it, right?
Yeah.
At this point, I'm thinking for AB Brand, do they go for a... All right, so they went for a Frederick here, because I was thinking whether the Frederick or the Martis, because the Martis just now, we saw what he was able to do, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah. I think when you lock in the Fredrin here, too, you're just matching for the most part, right? Once again, utility for utility. This technically, you know, the fact that we have seen teams flex it, of course, I don't necessarily think that's going to happen here this time, especially since we have the Matilda, the Faramis locked in. You know, for the most part, though, with that, you're coming down to these objective fights and the takes, right? How do you want to play around that? And really, it leaves to question, what do we take for the gold lane? Because once we get through this second phase, there's probably going to be a focus at least on one of the gold lane options for AP Bren from GeekFam, right? Maybe that's the Claude. Maybe they decide to go ahead and ban that out. So it forces, once again, that matchup against Bruno versus the Brody pick.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Banning out the Minotaur here, it's giving a signal to GeekFam. It's like, how do I say this? AP Bren is asking GeekFam to ban away the Claude. Because if GeekFam doesn't ban away the Claude, then, you know, one of the heroes that can fight against him is out of the picture. So it looks like AB Brand is baiting, because we know Coach Ducky. He's a brilliant guy. He won't show his hand too obviously, you know?
You know, here's one thing, though. The fact that they picked up the Fredrin this time means they really need some more damage, I feel like, right? And that could kind of hint to the fact that
I agree.
maybe for EXP lane Flap Tuesday, they want to go something a bit more aggressive, and GeekFam maybe calls that, banning out the Dairoth here, banning out some possibilities for him, especially since their mid lane is kind of lacking in damage, especially in the early phase. I mean, eventually the Faramis will do a bit more with the Ghostbusters, but that takes some time, right?
I would say for GeekFam, actually, not for AP Brand. I was about to say Lapu Lapu, because Lapu Lapu should be very good against the Faramis. So far, both teams are having more or less the same idea here. The EXP is going to be very influential in the series.
Yeah, this match alone. Okay, so they take out the Ixia. So this leaves the, you know,
Claude,
you could still go Claude, could go Brody. I guess at this point, GeekFam's like, take what you want. You know, we got our Bruno, we're happy with it. Not only that, but we got the Lilia as well. So 2 heroes that we love to play into this, and just we'll leave it up to you, AP Brent.
Yeah, I think Jadera just feels confident. He's probably like, it's okay, give him the Claude. Like we're not stressed about it. Jadera feels confident against Super Marco right now, if that's going to be his pick overall. AP Brent going to take their time. So Claude, I think Super Marco could still do well in the Claude, and especially now that they have the Faramis, they have something to kind of buy them some time through the mid game to get Super Marco where he needs to be. They also have tons of movement, so if they need to go and protect the gold lane, they have those possibilities with the Matilda and the Faramis, plenty of options, and that's exactly what they're going to lock in. Geek Fam need to respond with EXP, and there goes the Khalid again. A
MVP.
beautiful answer to the Faramis.
I mean, MVP performance, why wouldn't you?
The hunt
And
begins.
more or less
Alright.
the same. More or less the same.
And it works.
It works.
works against the Faramis.
And this time I would say the anti-synergy between the Ruby and the Akai is not really that bad. It's because...
Not like the Tigreal.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
even if Ruby pulls someone in, it's not going to be as bad as Tigreal, I would say. Especially because I believe that the cooldown for Ruby might be a little bit lower. I could be wrong there, but if I'm not mistaken, I feel like Ruby's cooldown is much lower.
Also the downside about the Tigreal is usually when you have the implosion, you go for the slide, right? And then try to knock him up as well. And that's where it messes things up a little bit. This is interesting though.
Phoveus.
Phoveus going to be locked in here. So that is for the XP lane.
I'm not going to lie. I'm not exactly sure how that matchup is going to be.
I'm not super sold on it either. Like, I mean, yes, I guess against the Khalid once he hits level 4, there's some possibilities there. But here's the thing. And also it can target the Ruby. But the thing is, Ruby wants you to jump in on her. Ruby's
True.
like, all right, come on. Then I just click my sorry and my second skill, and boom, you're locked up in the midst of us all.
You know what this does really well though?
What?
It answers the Chidera problem, the Kadera problem, right? You demonic force towards him, you put the pressure on him so that, because last time it was the Terizla, and when you jumped in with the penalty zone, then you couldn't catch him. You're left as a sitting duck. So, and maybe this time that's the answer here to deal with Chidera's movement.
Well, when we're talking about Geek Fam, we have the solution, we have the answer. Flapteasy. Are you going to be the one, the problem for Kadera? Or will Kadera be having all of these free shots all over the game? Welcome to the third match in this best of 5 series. Welcome to the Land of Dawn. Geek Fam equalized it. Which team is going to go and have the match point?
All right, so when I look at both teams and I'm thinking about any of the win cons and I see AP Bren, now that they've kind of finished off their draft with that Phoveus, the Phoveus isn't bad exactly, but when it will really come online is going to be in the late game. Same thing with Super Marco. So I think overall, trying to buy time, AP Bren, Geek Fam have this wonderful mid-game spike with Luke, Chidera, a boy, a great level 4 with Beloyski. I mean, just lots of possibilities. And in this laning phase, Luke is definitely going to dominate Flapteasy.
Again, I really want to see this matchup because, you know, it could be something that just because we haven't seen doesn't mean it's bad, right? Like maybe because Luke using that first skill is going to dash all the time, and then maybe
once level 4 comes.
Yeah, once level 4, maybe Flapteasy can do something. It's just something that I'm not familiar with. In fact, I think in this M series we might see more Phoveus in the mid than the EXP.
Yeah, not typical to see him in the XP lane for now, but at least from what we've seen, and even looking at the emblems here, anything sticking out?
All the movement speed on the side of AP Bren. Even Phoveus has it because they know once mid-late game comes, he's going to need to move around. Also, he needs to be able to keep up with Khalid when Khalid tries to rotate into the mid side, when Khalid tries to go and help the team out.
Okay, they're going to grab Marky back here. Beloyski there to help him out. Doesn't have the level 4 yet, so just going to disengage as both teams get prepped and ready for this turtle in just a couple seconds.
That's kind of like a passive for this Khalid, where you don't have to waste one slot for that movement speed. So that's actually an interesting point. Khalid has basically 4.
Well, already a lot of just poke back and forth. Speaking of Khalid, Luke's got the level 4 now, so he's going to join this front line here for Geek. Marky has to get a position as well for this if they want to contest it, but it's going to be driven back with the demonic force from Flap. That's exactly what they want to do here. Luke, not sure if he wants to take a chance at all on this. It would be better if they just give up this first turtle to AP Bren. It's exactly what happens as Flapteasy walks away, secures the objective.
Well, we saw the usefulness of Flapteasy on this Phoveus. Okay, I'm sorry.
How dare you?
There's the punishment.
It's like, it's our job. I'm sorry.
Well, don't think there's going to be any answer from AP Bren. So essentially, yeah, they get the objective, but first blood in the hands of Luke, who once again had that MVP performance on the same hero from the previous game.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want with the Khalid. And now Marky already shoving into this orange buff, going to be able to take it, and that's going to be taking so much away from the hands of Kyle Teasy.
Yep, Circle Eagle going to be used. Focus now on the top side. We'll see if AP Bren responds to this. Once again, Super Marco dealing with everything right now. Heavy spin. Pops the Purify, though. We'll be able to get out just fine because of that Purify.
I like the timing. The moment he has the Haas Claw, they all went for it.
Oh, Luke gonna be in trouble this time. Tries to get away.
There it is.
Kyle Teasy gets the kill. So they answer back to Luke on the bottom side. Now back to the top. Ogwin and Super Marco just being forced out of this lane. A lot of gold, a lot of pressure here going to the hands of Geek Fam. Up to Kadera as he works on that turret.
Yeah, it's very nice as well that Kadera does not try to take down the turret as fast as he can because he wants those minions to die. Like, winning isn't enough. You want your opposing laner to lose. I like that kind of mentality. It's not enough for me to win.
Yep.
I want to see you lose.
And those little movements have already given him a 600 gold lead. Putting him, oh boy, in trouble here.
I already used that black shoes. Beloyski now a little bit late. Should be able to slide on through, but is going to be stopped as Kyle Teasy gets the kill there. Now AP Bren, their sights on this purple buff, trying to make it hard for him to get. Marky, though, still going to be battling out. Appraiser's Wrath going to come down. Heavy spin going to be used. He takes a couple shots from Kadera, goes under the turret. Marky quite low, has to use the Nether Realm. Still going to be battling out. Luke now focusing on Kyle Teasy, forcing him back as both teams battle it out until the turtle comes up. As we take a quick break here.
Hey, you know what? It's fine because we got to talk about how tanky this Fredrin is. Much different than the Martise in the previous game where the Martise has more damage but lacks that frontline capability. So quite a big difference now that Kyle Teasy is on this Fredrin where he can absorb much more and gives a lot of time for his damage dealers to dish out the damage.
Not only that, but we've already seen Phoveus have the turnaround, start to have the advantage over Luke going against that, able to proc the demonic force and everything. Even like Lucas said, like, can I even use my Raging Sandstorm to try to run away? Because once you do, you proc it once again, and he doesn't really have, enough dashes to escape, to kind of trick the Phoveus and move away right before the animation happens.
Phoveus has an interesting passive. You know what it is?
What is it?
Play around me and you still lose. It's like, imagine trying not to dash when you're fighting. You're forcing yourself in a bad position. So the Phoveus gives, it's like a fake question where no matter what happens,
what
you
is a fake question?
You know, it's like
mess around and find out.
No, it's like what do you call it? It's
I
like,
can't even think of a fake question that I've ever asked.
It's not a fake. It's like, how do I, those tricky
questions?
Not tricky.
Tricky disco.
Basically, when I ask you a question, there's no right answer.
Okay, ask me one of those.
What number am I holding up behind my back?
But your hands don't. A
but your
trick
hands
question.
Yeah, but my hands will keep on moving.
Question.
So it's a trick question.
Yeah.
I just said so. A trick question, and you said no.
Nah.
You're doing great.
There's a different word.
Man.
There's a different word for it.
All
But
right.
basically, it's like if you guys dash, I'm gonna dunk on you. If you guys don't dash, I don't need to dunk on you because all of my friends are gonna dunk on you. You get what I'm saying?
I'm just going to agree.
Yes.
Because we're jumping back in. What is that called again? A fake question?
Okay, you know what? Ultimatum.
Ultimatum's not it either.
No, it's not it? All right, okay. Someone try to help me out. I'm sorry. It's not it.
Someone type whatever LaFell's trying to think of as they battle it out for the turtle here. It looks like it's just going to be AP Bren, though, once again, as they secure the second turtle of the game here, uncontested for the most part.
Geek Fam not still ahead, though, so they have the opportunity to give up that turtle. Yes, this puts AP Bren at a nice tied spot, but we definitely can't count Geek Fam out just because of a few objectives being lost. They've taken that top tower. Chidera's at the bottom laning, smashing down on that one, and that is their win con right now. Chidera just doing so well, hasn't taken a single death. Same thing with a boy, and those are two of their major damage dealers here.
Yeah, looking at the goal earn as well, Kadera definitely has a very clear, what to say clear, it's only like 200 advantage-ish, so I'll take that back. It's basically non-consequential here. Beloyski, Kyle Teasy is having a fun time dishing the damage against Beloyski, and not enough damage there.
I love how he continues to use that Appraiser's Wrath, right, with pretty much just on the go, forcing anything he can from Geek Fam, and that's kind of what you want to do, and maybe the reason why, they went with this Fredrin pick. Aside from it being quite tanky. He's going to get zoned off, though, with a heavy spin. Slides on through, though, with finesse. Ogwin goes in with the Circling Eagle, but ultimately they just push Geek Fam back further. away from the team here.
All right, here comes Flapteezy, though. We haven't really seen him get involved in a lot of these like full-on team fights yet. I'm excited to see how AP Bren's composition works with that kind of spice added to it.
Right now, Luke trying to protect the 4 members of AP Bren here. Luke gets pulled.
Luke's going to get pulled. He's going to get dunked on. Goes in, flickers out. Not going to be enough as Few cleans up the kill there. They'll get the turret as well here. On the bottom side, continue to work on for AP Bren.
Something that we have to say about the draft coming in from AP Bren, the Claude can be left alone. The Claude can be left on an island and he can push all day. The rest of AP Bren, they can move as a team. And it's going to be enough damage just because the Faramis is going to build into a Lightning Truncheon. And GEEKGame, if they want to clump up together, they're just going to give more damage to this Faramis.
We also have to point out that with Flapteezy moving... Ooh, wait a second.
Okay, Flapteezy going to be focused a little bit here. Doesn't have the Demonic Force just yet, so still Turtle going to be fought for. Kyle Teasy and Marky, the battle for it once again. Going now, committing to it. Heavy Spin going to find the lockdown. Turtle going to be secured by Kyle Teasy. Now they turn their sights on Marky. He's going to be just taken care of all by himself as Marky's taken out. Beloyski survived, but Luke and Kadera will be doing work across the map.
This is something Geek have been doing very well, though. Even if they don't expend everybody onto these objectives. They know that AP Bren wants to do that. They want to send all 5 members for the Turtle. But while they're doing that, they have Luke in the mid side, taking a tower. They have Chadera up top. Ooh.
So they actually want to fight this. Once again, Kyle Teasy so tanky here. Oakwood has to flicker out. Beloyski quite low as well. Still going to be going, though. Flapteezy now joining the fight. Few making his way there as well. And they keep them at bay. Geek Fam realizes it, and they back off.
You know what's good about our system now?
Yes.
We have 3 casters. We can see we can look at different parts of the map because that's what these teams are doing. You see one fight here, someone's pushing it somewhere else.
Yeah. Still,
like Super Marco in that bot lane.
Yeah, that's what he likes to do. Again, this is a signature pick for Super Marco, right? He's done work on this, and a lot of the times, if you just leave him alone, like LaFell was saying earlier, it scales out of hand, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, that bleeds into it hurts.
This looks like a magic trick where you have the left hand showing beautiful colors, and then the right hand takes your watch.
And then there's a trick question.
No. It's like GEEKGame and AP Bren, they're doing the same thing. It's like, hey, we're fighting now. And then all of a sudden, your turn is gone.
So is it both gold laners? Because it's Kadera and Luke doing the same thing.
Yeah, they are both trying to do it. But right now,
yeah,
Super Marco's doing a little better, I think.
Yeah, I would say for AP Brand, it's more on the gold laner. For Geek Fam, they got Luke as well as Kadera.
Yeah, because essentially both of them have 3 turrets down, right? So in a way, how long or who can pull it off longer, right? Until eventually it all collapses. Because that's kind of what's happening right now, even with that reference, you know? And this leads into these objectives now that the Lord is up.
All right, Lord is up.
Oh, Conceal going to play. Beloyski jumping in alongside Marky. Oh boy, and Luke going to be caught too. Marky has to get out of there. Ogwin going to whittle him down a little bit more now. Oh boy, trapped amongst it all. Get taken out by Few. And this is going to be the go signal for AP Bren to start up the Lord.
Well, I guess to answer your question, it looks like AP Bren is more willing to take those prolonged team fight because having the Faramis as well as the... even though we questioned this Phobius pick, it has been doing quite well to deny a lot of engages coming in from Geek Fam.
It's been denying so much, and I was a little like, oh, why is he can only really zone away Beloyski or Luke, but even that is making a huge impact on these team fights. Beloyski not being able to get involved means Kyle Teasy can pretty much just do what he wants. It means Super Marco can roam freely around these team fights or do exactly whatever he wants as well. Now taking a look at some of the items, Super Marco has jumped from being stalemated to almost a 2K gold lead over Chadera right now. He's pretty much into working on his last item at this point.
Yeah, right now it looks like AP Brandy can just push in. For Geek Fam, I feel like in order for them to win is trying to force a 5v5 fight and bait out some of the skills, especially Flap. But I don't know, so far the way Flap has been playing, even though he's getting caught, it doesn't look like he's anytime in trouble.
Beloyski going to get dragged back by the Stampede, takes quite a bit of damage himself. They might just have to give up this tier 2 as AP Bren still looks for these plays. Lord now going down the bottom side. They might be knocking on the base of Geek Fam here relatively soon. Shield still up though. She'll be able to make quick work of it as Geek Fam goes on the defense. Ogwin keeping them at bay as well. But ultimately nothing happening just yet.
All right, Geek Fam going to be able to defend this. And I think, yes, they're going to lose that mid-tier 2. They lose a lot here. The gold lead is starting to escape them a bit.
Oh, they're going to jump in. Flapteasy goes in with a demonic force, but they're going to have to go out. But they're happy with the turret. So still on the play, AP Bren gets the first base turret of GeekGame.
The conversation now is what GeekGame has to do, because just to expand a little bit about what I was saying before is like, try to trick AP Bren into thinking they're going for a 5v5, try to bait out a lot of those skills like the Nether Realm as well as the Demonic Force from Flapteasy, but doesn't look like AP Bren is gonna take any kind of bait here.
I love the fact that Flapteasy builds Clock of Destiny up front. Because we've been talking so much about how EXP laners need a little bit of damage, and that wasn't always common for a Phoebe split. A lot of times you just kind of go into full defense mode, and the damage just unloads over time anyways, because that's just kind of how he works, right? But with that, he's able to really be a threat to some of these tankier heroes like BLCK. He's just able to have that little bit extra, and that's going to scale along with him over time. And at this point, I feel like it's kind of all he needs.
I'm looking at everyone from AP Bren, and I'm trying to figure out if I'm BLCK, who's a great target for me to pick off? I mean, sure, if you can get most of the members at the same time, maybe that's good, but if you pull in the Phoveus, that will feel like a mistake. If you pull in the
Flapteasy?
Yeah, if you pull in Flapteasy, you feel like that's a mistake as well. If you pull in Few, that's
a mistake. Super Marco! Not even giving a chance to Jadera. Still now Luke gonna be trying to get back to base here. Demonic Force gonna be used and everything thrown at him. Super Marco just fully stacked, knew that it was his opportunity and takes out Kadera.
I'm wondering if maybe Marky should have used that heavy spin a little bit earlier. I feel like he was hanging on to it and maybe possibly, use it for a dire situation. But they do get out. Jadera goes down though, and that's going to be a huge loss because Super Marco already had a big gold lead, and this is just going to make Jadera not be able to catch up with him even faster.
I mean, if this keeps on continuing, AP Bren will have match point because GeekGame, again, I'm looking at the draft. They have enough damage. I just don't know who they should focus it on because I don't think that Super Marco is going to get caught anytime soon.
Yeah, it's so difficult to catch him, right? I mean, alongside the fact that they have Matilda to help with those escapes, and that's what we've been seeing here. So now, once again, AP Bren gets ready for this assault towards GeekGame's base.
All right, GeekGame, I mean, at this point, how do they defend this, right? They have some possibilities. They have Luke who can make the big set. They have BLCK who can make the big set, but they have, like you mentioned, LaFell, they have to be careful who they pull in. A Boy, we haven't seen too much from Boy right now. And it should, I mean, theoretically be doing okay against Flapteasy, but I think with a gold lead like this, they just have too many defensive items, and it's going to take a little bit longer until GeekGame can actually, slow them down at all.
Well, they're going to work on the base. Top turret going to be gone. Lord making its way down the bottom. GeekGame has to respond to this. Flapteasy going to keep them at bay. Still, BLCK trying to keep things clear.
Okay.
Flapteasy, though, just gets taken out of the picture. Still, Flapteasy going to get dragged now, too. He could be in trouble as he has to flicker out. Oakwood and the rest of the team there. Marky has to heavy spin out. The battle in the jungle. Luke, though, goes in with Raging Sandstorm. He has to go, but he can't heal up fast enough. As a body after body will fall for GeekGame. And Marky, the last one to go. AP Bren wipes out GeekGame as they make their way to the Crystal to take the series to a 2-1.
AP Bren right now, match point with this 2-1. AP Bren is buzzing.
They are definitely buzzing.
There it is.
Now, GeekGame, in a moment of dire measures, tried to kind of fight back there. They even had the advantage. They push a little bit too far, though. And AP Bren, once they have the clap back, they clap back hard. Or should I say, they sting back hard. And GeekGame, I think just that slight overextension, they should have just waited out. They should have taken what they had and tried to fight another day. But in the end, that's Mobile Legends for you. AP Bren comes out and secures a match point game.
I feel like we got to talk about the Phoveus as well.
Yeah, it was a clutch pick.
I mean, it's a pick that we question, but after watching him play, there's no real way for you to get into the fight.
Yeah, and I think going back to it, when we saw it picked up in the draft, I was like, this is probably the answer for what we saw from game 2 with Kadera, right? The fact that they had the Terizla that time, they couldn't catch up to him sometimes using the penalty zone, then he just, kind of finesses his way out. Well, this time when you have Demonic Force, you can continue to put the pressure. That worked out well for them.
It's good offensively and defensively. Now we get, oh!
Whoa.
Was that a shield?
I thought that was a shield.
All right? I mean, like, MVP off the game goes over to field, but they got a shield? They got a B shield?
An APB shield.
APB shield.
APB shield. Oh. I need one of those. Is that merch?
At this point, man, I don't know how you're going to fit everything in your luggage.
Either way, we got to talk about Few as well. 4-0 and 5. We got to talk about how Faramis has been banned out for 2 games. The one way it wasn't that true. It's just like, yeah, you guys are picking the Bruno. We're picking up the Faramis.
Yeah.
Faramis was clutch as well.
Yeah, the Faramis was the one who turned that fight around, able to get that Ghostbusters onto Chidera there, and then secure the double kill after that, the big turnaround. And right here, taking a look at some of these replays, that last play is right when you see FlapTZ kind of come online and become the right counter for Luke. And at this point, Kyle TZ just securing every single objective. Marky, who had such a clean game too in those neutral objectives, just starts to fall behind, and all has to do with AP Bren moving as a unit.
AP Bren as well, they had a very short laning phase. Like, I feel like FlapTZ didn't stay in his lane for a very long time. Like, he's there cleaning the minions, and maybe it's because of the within his blessing that he was able to move around the map much, making it so that if we were questioning how his laning phase is going to be, the answer was, don't think about the laning phase.
Yeah.
Just, 2-3 minutes and then just move all over the map.
Again, it was a crazy thing, as you took a look at the highlights there too, you saw how important the timings were, especially for the gold laners. The fact that you have Super Marco able to pick up the Wind of Nature before Kadera, that is what allowed him to go ahead and initiate that little interaction at the bottom lane to get that kill and to get that momentum into the base.
You mentioned FlapTZ rotating so early, and I noticed that as well. And in the beginning, it almost wasn't as good. Luke was kind of winning in the gold trade. He had about maybe a 500-600 gold lead right around the 5-6 minute mark. But that changed very quickly, and I think FlapTZ sacrificing that gold but being able to work with the team as a unit ended up paying off tremendously.
Same thing as well, AP Brand having 3 Purifies. So Marky wasn't going to be a problem. Luke wasn't going to be a problem. Boloisky wasn't going to be a problem. So they dealt with the issues, yes, with the Phobius, yes, with the Faramis, but even the battle spell, making sure that whatever the advantage was in the previous game, which is Boloisky being able to catch anyone, is like, try catching us when we have a Purify.
That's what I'm saying. It was so timing-wise as well, the fact that you saw a couple times Boloisky going in for the I'm Offended, but just the BMI alone sometimes juked it out. And then, of course, you have a Matilda there to help you kind of escape with the guiding wind. Things kind of unfolded here. And even looking at this, right, Super Marco, the rich guy, you have Few, the carry. Marky did. He took so much of the damage here for a Geek fan, but unfortunately, it was not enough for this game.
Look at the damage from Geek fan. Not a lot.
But look at the damage from AP Bren. Few with 71k and Super Marco as well. And we're only 15 minutes into that game, right? We're 15 minutes in, and Super Marco was already completely in there. And he knew his assignment that time. He couldn't let himself fall behind Chidera like what happened in game number 2. He had to make sure that he could farm up. He had to make sure that he could get some of those items way before Chidera. And then, remember, I think it was early game, they get the kill on Chidera, probably mid-game, and that's when it was just kind of a wrap.
Geek fam, they have to figure out how, because in this fight, I feel like the problem is there was no door that was open for them to go in.